Hello and welcome back to the Aston Villa podcast. I'm your host, Noah Fisher, and joined by Jakey Mariner as always. Jakey, 3 points. It was ugly, but 3 points is 3 points.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to take them and move on. Nothing really special about that win this morning. Just 3 points is 3 points, and it gets us a little bit closer to that Champions League spot.
Yeah, I mean, we can kind of talk about that now because I was thinking we probably needed, 6, 7 wins potentially to get that. I think it's been about 14 games. We needed 7 wins, and now we probably need 6 in 12. So about half of the games. But, we're 5 points off United now, 6 points off Chelsea, but importantly, 8 points off Liverpool. It would have been nice if Sunderland had held on for a draw in that one. But with 4 games to go to the international break, in the Premier League, that is. So we have Leeds at home, Wolves away, Chelsea at home, United away, West Ham at home. Where would a points gap have to be for you to feel like we're pretty well set going into the last 9 games?
I think we're probably. I think you'd have to maintain the gap of about 8 points, I reckon, going into the last 9 games. I mean, if you're 8 points clear, right, and you've got teams that are, still around you, like we've still got to play some of those teams that are around us. So if we can maintain that buffer, I think we're going to be pretty safe going into the last 9 rounds, knowing full well that we still have to play Liverpool, at least Liverpool. I'm not sure if Chelsea is afterwards.
So we play Chelsea at home, United, and then we play Liverpool second last game, and then Man City at the last game.
Yeah. So we've still got to play Chelsea and Liverpool in, that sort of back end towards the season. So they're going to be crucial games as to where we finish and to, have that buffer, especially if they're breathing down our neck. We don't really want to be in a position where we could lose those spots and have those games become more pressure games. I'd like to think that we'd be able to sit there and go, you know what, even if we drop points on that one, I think it's not going to make too much of a difference. But I still think 8 points is probably enough.
I'm taking it like Unai Emery, game by game. I think a win last night against Brighton was so crucial for us, and just to kind of get some form back. And obviously, as I said, it was ugly. It wasn't great football. The first half was pretty plain, I guess you could say. But if I offered you 4 points, Bournemouth away, Brighton at home, I'd have taken it every day of the week.
Yeah, look, Brighton away was always never going to be an easy task. We knew that, but this one we really, really had to get back on it. We really had to get back on the horse, especially after the last couple of home games and the results there. We really had to get back to winning ways, and we did that last night. I was watching Emery's press conference just beforehand, and he spoke about confidence. I think after Bournemouth and the Everton game, that we lost a fair bit of confidence at home, playing in front of our own crowd. But I think this morning, as though it was ugly, we still managed to come away with a clean sheet and 3 points. So I think we can take a little bit of confidence out of that going into obviously the FA Cup this weekend and then the following Premier League fixture. But yeah, confidence is a big thing in football. And when you've got it, you feel like on top of the world, like we were earlier in the season. But when you don't have it, it's a bit hard to get out of it. But hopefully we've turned a corner.
And just before we went to bed last night, obviously in Australia, there was murmurs that Matty Cash would miss the game due to injury. And obviously waking up and seeing the team sheet, that was the case. Apparently missing, obviously, the game last night against Brighton and Newcastle is the suspected time frame. But obviously knowing Aston Villa, who knows how long he would be out for. He's probably been one of the best right backs in the Premier League this season. And he's going to be a massive loss against Newcastle, but hopefully not much further than that.
Yeah, Matty Cash is a big loss for us. I think, him at right back is, he's such a good ball user, especially his delivery into the box. He also likes to push forward as well. We know he likes to score, and we know he likes to have a ping from outside the box. So we are going to miss him in that respect, where he can potentially be another shooting option when he decides to sneak up the pitch. But as well, he's just a beast when it comes to defending as well. Like he is that John McGinn type player where he's very strong in the contest. He's very strong. Rarely does he lose, but at the same time, his negative is that he does get caught out at times. But he does have the motor and the tank to be able to push back hard to defend.
I mean, I've also been one to say that I think we need to upgrade right back every single year. I was like, Cash will get, sold or we'll replace him. But to his credit, he has just gone from strength to strength and by far his best season in the Villa show right now. And as Paul Cox said, this is our next point. Lamar Bogard, a midfielder at heart, centre-back can play and can also play right back. And I think that was by far his best game in a Villa shirt last night. For me, man of the match.
Yeah, he played really well last night. For a young kid too, I said on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, these kids, they've got to grab the opportunity with the injuries that we've got. Kamara, McGinn, Anana when he was on an injury cloud. These kids have got to take their opportunities when they come their way. This isn't, like the under-20s or, Premier League 2. This is, the best league in the world. And if you get an opportunity to do it, you take it. And Bogard has been taking his opportunity when he's been on the pitch. He's been lively. Last night he was fantastic, I thought, and fully deserved a Noah Man of the Match award, I reckon. And you know what? I'm going to say it as well. He was my man of the match as well.
And I guess we can talk a little bit more about the game. I just think the midfield in general lacked a little bit. I think it was probably Luiz's worst game since his return. I know he's probably getting his fitness and getting back to the Emery ways, but just seemed like he would overhit a pass or just underhit a pass. And I saw someone say, I think it was on Twitter or something, that he's the Timu Tielemans, which I think is quite funny. I mean, because I think we know how lucky we are to have a player like Yuri Tielemans at our football club, and he always makes those passes.
Mate, even if he's Timu Tielemans, right? Tielemans is a fucking ripping player. I don't, he's still a decent player. If he's Timu Tielemans, he's still a decent player. So,
I know. I thought it was pretty funny though, because I thought his first game against Brentford, everyone's like, "Oh, he was so good, he was unbelievable." And then Bournemouth, everyone's like, "Oh, he dropped off a little bit." And I think you got to give credit to Brighton because they were physical, weren't they? Like 90 seconds in, they had a player booked for going through Morgan Rogers. It's about time someone got booked for one of those challenges early. Yeah. And I think maybe the physicality of the game got to Luiz.
Yeah. But then again, it's not like he's been out of the Premier League for years, though. He's been out of it, 2 seasons, if that?
Yeah, season
and a half.
All season, yeah.
So he should know. He should know by now the type of physicality that the Premier League is, right? I hate to say it, but I reckon he had that performance last night where if he was a bit intimidated by Brighton's physicality, I reckon he's got to harden up a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, there's every chance of that, but I don't know. It's what Forest fans said about him. He can only play 60, 70 minutes at the moment, and he just looked like a bloke that was tired by the end of that when he came off. And we can talk about the impact of some substitutes. Leon Bailey, we criticised him against Bournemouth because he was lackluster, let's be honest with you, but he was fantastic in his little cameo yesterday.
Yep, I told you. I told you last week. It takes time for a new player to come back into the team, and Douglas Luiz is no exemption. I reckon Bailey, hopefully that's the start of a little bit of momentum for Bailey. He had a good game. He had a good game this morning. Hopefully he will be able to string some games together, especially with the injuries that we've got. Might be able to sneak into the midfield. Maybe. I reckon he'd be pretty out of position, but with those injuries, I reckon there is a spot for him. And this morning he was good. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him again against Newcastle in the FA Cup. But yes, by far
No,
his best game since he returned.
I think Bailey starts it on Sunday against Newcastle. It's a Saturday. I think it's a Saturday night game, isn't it? I think he starts. I think it was deserving of a start. Someone else that came on, Premier League debut for Allison. And this is a bit of a weird one for Allison because after the game, on the Coupe de Villa Instagram, I shared his post saying it's been a lifelong dream. And Allison viewed the story. So massive fan of the podcast, apparently, Allison. So obviously welcome. Obviously you're watching right now. So I thought he did sensational as well, by the way. I mean, he's going to be some player.
You are more than welcome to join us on the podcast anytime you like, Allison. You can come on whenever you want. You know what? You can even host the thing. I'm sure Noah will be happy to take a back seat there for you. And you just tell us a little bit about your story and, we run it from there. But no, young kid, if he's like we said, if he's anything like the Brentford lad, Dave or Rianne,
Bournemouth, Rianne. Yeah,
Dave. If he's anything like him, I'm excited to see what he can do. But he looked lively when he came off the bench. He looked lively. I know his minutes were a bit limited, but he did a couple of good things. He made a really, really good clearance late in the second half there when Brighton did start to press a little bit and they were, playing the ball forward a little bit more. But no, really good from him. And again, about taking those chances. If he continues to take those chances, he'll do well, and the blooding will get better.
And he was playing out of position when he came on because he's a right midfielder, right winger by trait, and he was playing as an orthodox left midfielder, hybrid left midfielder. And I thought he did a decent job. I mean, there's that one that Abraham threaded through from, which I thought he was going to get on the end of, but didn't quite get on the end of it. And I mean, I know it's only early days for him, and we've been talking about this kid for years now, but it's only been a month. I'm really excited to see what he can do, and hopefully get more minutes come his way in the FA Cup against Newcastle. We'll move a little bit further on to a bit of a discussion point. I mean, we won the game, so it's not the end of the world. A Tammy Abraham penalty shout. Something very, very similar happened in the Chelsea Leeds game to João Pedro when he was given a penalty. And again, typical Villa, yet to be awarded a penalty this season. And if that's not given, we're never going to get one.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I saw it live and I thought that's got to be a penalty, surely. Two hands, you've shoved him in the chest. It's prevented him from, probably scoring, I would say, because, the net was there. The net was there for the beckoning. So, and even the commentators said, he's probably scoring there. But two hands in the chest, could you argue that it was trying to win the ball? But even then, I don't even think he was trying to win the ball. I think he was just trying to put Abraham off his shot. And unfortunately, if you're making contact with a player, it's like if you grab their shirt. Once you put your hands on a player, unless you're jostling for possession, it's either a foul or it's a penalty. And I'm sorry, and I'm going to sound biased here, but that was a penalty. You can't shove somebody in the chest and get away with it. Luckily for him, he did.
Yeah, but as I said, if the João Pedro one the night before wasn't given, I don't complain. If that one was short, I said, no pen. Okay, they're being pretty consistent. They didn't give that one. They didn't give ours. You move on with that. But the fact they gave that one, that's where the issue I have with it. It's just no consistency. And the fact that we are, how many games in the Premier League season now? 20-odd games into the season, and we are yet to get a penalty. And we've had so many chances like that. I mean, it's quite bizarre.
You go back to 2 weeks ago when I think it was Buendia that was shoved in the back.
Against Bournemouth, yeah.
Where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line with a foul?
There's just no consistency, Jakey. That's what it is. You can't
shove somebody in the back, right? And I put it to AFL terms, right? All the UK lads would be crucifying me for this, but if you put somebody in the back, right, in the AFL, it's a free kick, right? Every day of the week. You put somebody, you shove somebody in the back, you expect to get a penalty.
And this is what I agree with as well. Is it would have been a foul anywhere else on the pitch?
Oh,
it would have been a foul anywhere else. You know, that's where I get confused with it. But it's just a typical Villa sort of a thing. And good morning to Michael Huggins as well. Good to see you back in the live chat.
Morning,
morning,
Michael.
I want to mention this comment here from Paul. And I mean, Watkins was the midfield I just thought that was quite poor. I mean, Sancho didn't have his best game. Buendia didn't have his best game. Rogers was pretty lackluster. We said Louise was not at his best. Onana huffed and puffed. Probably spent more time on the floor than anything. It was a tough game for anyone to get going because you and I were talking before the podcast, and I think like my three best players of the game were Bogard, Martinez, and Ian Matson for me, and that's saying something.
Yeah, to be quite honest, I think our midfield was a little bit undercooked this morning. I think we had a bit of a weaker midfield in. That's probably caused why Watkins was poor because he's not a lack of trying. It may look like he's sometimes not trying, but you can tell he is. Yeah. Rogers obviously didn't have his best night. It happens. He's been really good for so long. He's allowed to have an off night. But getting back to Watkins, I think mate, he just needs to score. I think he needs to score and he needs to find the back of the net because he'll be feeling the pinch at the moment where especially if Tammy Abraham starts to string some games together, I think he'll start to feel the pinch and feel like he has to score. But that's when you start to get a bit when you start to do things that you don't normally do. You don't make those runs because you think it's too risky or you don't play, you go yourself instead of trying to, putting somebody into a better position just because you want to score yourself. I get it. But at the end of the day, you still got to do the team thing. And that's how you get yourself into confidence because if you do the team thing, they're going to look after you and you're eventually going to score. But yeah, he's just got to score.
And I will talk about as well, I know a lot of people say, we haven't been playing great lately and it's all this sort of, Villa a bit inconsistent. How unrecognisable was the team we finished with, right? The team that finished a game against Brighton to the team that went on that 11-game winning run. We had Lindelof in midfield, right, playing alongside Ross Barkley. We had an unproven Brazilian on debut on the left. We had Leon Bailey recalled from loan on the right. Tammy Abraham up front. Bogard at right back. Like, it was a really, makeshift sort of a team. And then that's probably why that you're probably thinking we're inconsistent is, players kind of get thrown around at the moment and doing a decent job. It's been a decent week, Jakey. I know we can all complain our home form has been great. It took us to our sixth half out of our last 3 games to score our first goal at Villa Park, which we're just about to touch on. But we're not far off at the moment. McGinn and Tillemans aren't far away. Obviously, Kamara's out for the year. But, the boys are huffing and puffing, aren't they?
Yeah, it's been a really testing period for our squad depth. And I think our supporters know that it's, that it was going to be testing. As soon as we saw, McGinn go down, as soon as we saw, Kamara go down, that our squad depth was going to be tested a little bit. And it's, it's been okay. We've been rock solid. We've had to, as you said, we've had to shuffle things around and, we've been caught out a couple of times. But, I just think we need to get through this little period. We need to find a little bit more resolve, get through this little period, get some of our stars back, and I think we'll be okay again.
As I said to you before, the gap between us and Liverpool in 6 hasn't really shrunk. It's still 8 points. So if I'd offered you this position, everyone would have taken it at the start of the year. Everyone would have absolutely taken it, obviously depending on the injuries and whatnot. But we'll talk about the goal. And it was very funny. I was talking to Owen just before the podcast when Tyrone Mings runs over to Leon Bailey to say the set piece tactics. The whole team were fuming, apparently. They're like, oh, you're just wasting time. You're sick of it. You're sick of it. And then he puts the ball I thought, honestly, I'm straight off Tyrone Mings, and his 200th appearance, by the way, for Aston Villa. What an absolute servant to our football club that man has been. I thought it came flush off his head, but he actually didn't even touch it. But God, he ran amok and probably did deserve that goal, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was like the goal that it was like the goal that that we saw at Watford all those years ago, Noah, where him and it's come off Conce's stud.
Yeah. No, he came off Mings' stud from Conce's shot.
Yeah, so he's probably got a little bit back there. But look, to be quite honest, he's been such a great servant of the football club over a long period of time. I mean, he's been there since we come back up. You know, we signed him on a permanent when we came back up. You know, he's captained the club for a guy, you know, that's had so many injuries and had to come back from, you know, knee, leg, you know, I don't know, everything. Brain injury. Like, you know, it's a real credit to him to notch up 200 games. You know, playing one game in the Premier League, let alone getting 200.
Yeah.
You know, and to be quite honest, I don't even care if it's an own goal. I'm letting him claim it.
Oh, how good were the celebrations as well?
It was a special one, and you know what? He can have it because that's his moment. It's his 200th game. You know, just let him have it. I know the technicalities there, but fuck me.
He had a good interview with TNT after the game. He said, "Surely I got a dreadlock on it. Surely I got a dreadlock on that ball." Like, he was trying to claim it, and good on him because I think he's been such a legend for us.
You know, you're throwing technicalities around by not giving penalties and whatnot, and then, you know, you take a goal off a bloke that's on his 200th game. Give me a break.
Yeah, he didn't touch it though. He has to touch it.
I don't care.
Yeah. Brett, obviously welcome. And it says payback for the Concer robbery. We'll move on. We'd love to talk about Emi Martinez, and as Paul also made here, there's a photo going around of the ball that he tipped onto the crossbar.
No, do you actually want to show us with, you know, it could be, we know it's a bit poor and we haven't worked out how to get photos up on this, but there it is in all its glory. I'm a photographer myself, shooting sport, so outside. Mate, for me, that is the be all and end all photo. If you can, if I could ever pull off a photo as good as that, I know that I'm a great photographer.
Yeah. It's not just the photo, but I love the reactions from everyone. If you haven't seen it, it's on Aston Villa Media on Twitter. They post a bunch of photos after the game. It's on that Twitter page. It is a great photo. And just the reactions from Mings, from Rogers, from Louise, from Sancho, it's top tier. It's unbelievable. But as 2 games in a row, Jakey, that I think, first of all, that he actually really did deserve the clean sheet in this game. There was that one moment he parried it and Matt Snatzer cleared away from Gomez, I think it was. But it's a well-deserved clean sheet, and I'm happy we finally got another one because they're few and far between.
Sorry, guys. I just have to tell him to shut up for a sec.
That's all right.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. No, what did you say?
Oh, I was saying, like, it's good that he thoroughly deserved a clean sheet at the end of that game.
Yeah, he did. He definitely deserved a clean sheet. I mean, he's been, I said it last week, he's been massive for us. You know, ever since, you know, all season. I mean, there's a reason why he's been the world's number one for a long time, and he continuously shows it week in, week out. Last week made a crucial stop that ended up getting us a point. This week made another crucial stop that ended up winning us the game in the end because, you know, without him stopping, getting a hand onto that and onto the crossbar, that's 1-0, and Brighton really had their tails up at that stage. It felt like they could have put on, you know, maybe 1 or 2 more. So, you know, he's been really, really consistent and been really good for us over a long period of time, and I absolutely love him.
I know you said that last podcast. We'll go into a quick preview of the FA Cup game coming up, and we'll go to another comment from Paul. He's been very active on this live stream, so thank you very much. He's still getting their comments in as well, so keep them coming in. And even when you're watching it on replay, just put some comments in, love some questions, get everyone in the comments. It's great fun. What changes to the starting lineup would you like to see against Newcastle in the Cup? Bizot comes in maybe. I think give Martinez a well-deserved rest. I'd love to see Bogart again at right back. Lindelof might get a game. Maybe, I don't know. I'm for anything. Emery's the guy. Emery's the king. He can kind of do whatever he wants. He can put, I don't know. He can put himself at centre back, and I'll back him in to do a job. Or Austin McPhee up front. Whatever you kind of fancy, Or do you fancy Jokey?
I actually would not mind seeing Tammy Abraham actually start a game.
I think he will start.
Because, and I think you sort of need to not only give Watkins a rest because he started quite a fair bit lately, but just to change it up a little bit, give something new to the squad, maybe breathe a new bit of life in, give Tammy Abraham a crack. I'm sure he's dying to score that one goal.
So he got that robbed of him against Brentford, so he'd definitely be dying for it. That goal actually robbed of him.
I also agree. Bizzo needs to start on the weekend. I think as good as Martinez has been, we need to give Bizzo, time and minutes. He's, because he has a crack. He's not like Robin Olsen where everything feels like a chore to him. This guy actually has a crack and he's a half decent keeper. So not saying that Olsen wasn't half decent, but Bizzo is better. But I think
100%.
I needed I would put him in just to give Martinez a rest because it's going to be a big next 3 weeks after that going into the international break. And obviously he is probably going to be playing for Argentina as well. So, no rest for the wicked, but I'd give him a rest this weekend.
And we'll do some predictions for this FA Cup tie. Jacob Ramsey returning to Villa Park. Obviously, he hadn't signed officially before the first match. He's coming off a goal as well against Tottenham. I think we'll get the job done. I think for some reason we have another good FA Cup run, and we love a 2-1 win. So I'm going to go 2-1 Villa. Tammy Abraham get his first Villa goal, and Allison will get his first Villa goal. Our boy.
Oh, are you serious, mate?
He's our boy. He loves the podcast, so get around him, eh?
I reckon. First of all, I hope nobody boos Jacob Ramsey when he comes out of the tunnel on the weekend.
Yeah, I agree.
I really, really hope that they don't, because at the end of the day, he's still one of our own. He still came from our club, and he's gone on to bigger and better things. I know they were very good when they played us last time, the supporters. So they gave him a fair bit of support. Maybe give him a boo, initially, but not the full 90 minutes,
Yeah.
And, he deserves that respect. But I reckon 2-1. I still think we can see goals where we're a bit leaky. But I still think we're good enough that we'll take a bit of confidence out of the Brighton game now that we've got 3 points again. And I reckon we'll beat Newcastle 2-1. I reckon Morgan Rogers will score. Yeah. And I reckon Ollie Watkins will actually, when he comes on the pitch after Tammy Abraham starts, when he comes on the pitch, I reckon he gets a goal.
I love that. This is actually something I forgot to mention. Obviously, James Milner has now equaled Gareth Barry's record for the most Premier League games. It's pretty cool to sit here and go, currently the tied leading Premier League players both played significantly amount of football for Aston Villa. And it was good to see that Milner got a good reception. He actually could have scored a goal for Brighton. So thanks, James, for not doing that. But, I mean, it's pretty cool to see that. And good on him. I know he hasn't played as much football as Gareth Barry. Someone's throwing stats around. It's like a lot more minutes that he's played than James Milner. But to have a 20-plus year Premier League career at the elite level is bloody sensational.
Sorry, just to go back quickly in the comment, I was reading a bit of the comments. Brent asked us, will Martinez stick around?
I was going to pull that up after this.
Next season. I think he will. I think he's been dying to play Champions League football again ever since we lost to PSG. He's a big time player and he deserves to be playing in the biggest competition in Europe. So I think if we get Champions League football next summer or next season, he he will definitely stick around with us. If we don't, I still think he'll stay, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm probably about 90% sure if we don't.
What's the massive? It's the same thing for Morgan Rogers as well. Obviously, he's a wanted player. I love how all the news comes out now about him, which I didn't want to touch on too much. But let's just fire about the end of the season, first of all. I just want to get through the next 13 Premier League games, 12 Premier League games, see where we are, and then we'll go from there. Because I think it was a big distraction last year, the Martinez stuff. And if something does happen, it'll happen early in the window. I don't think it will drag on too much, Jakey. I guess that's probably all for the match review, match preview sort of stuff. But I mean, Jakey, I think one thing we do, you and I both enjoy, is engagement with the fans. We've got 820 subscribers on YouTube. We've got Spotify growing, Instagram growing, everything growing, all social media growing. I guess asking you guys, I guess the ones in the live chat or if you're watching on replay or on Spotify, what things you guys want to see for us? Because Jake and I would kind of thinking would like a watch along on a game in a decent hour for us, like a Wolves at 7 a.m. Melbourne time, be one you guys would watch with us, or just what content would you guys like to see in the back half of the year? Jake, any suggestions? I don't know what you want to throw out there.
Let us know in the comments down below what sort of content you want to see us. Obviously myself and Noah hang out a fair bit outside of Coupe de Villa. So whether it's something Villa related or just something completely unrelated. I know a certain somebody wanted a darts match against between me and Noah. And that is going to happen. Noah is going to lose. But so I reckon the darts match will be on. We might even get Peter from a couple of podcasts ago to actually score the thing.
That'd be good.
Who's the darts guy? Who's the darts referee?
He changed. It was the old one.
Yeah, it was the old guy. The guy who recently retired. So whether it's that or whether you want to see more Villa content, I know I'll put up a day in the life of the Villa supporter supporting in Australia. So let us know in the comments.
Yeah, and obviously what Brent said here, 6 more wins and we're there. I think that's very true. I think that's all we got time for, Jakey. I think that's probably a good place to wrap up. We'll be live again after Newcastle, so it'll be Sunday night, Melbourne time, Sunday morning, UK time, probably around the same time, 8:30 p.m. Melbourne time, 9:30 a.m. UK time. So obviously, thanks for joining us. Obviously, Brent, Black Country Villain, Paul, we got Donovan, Michael Huggins in there, Box of Stars. Thanks everyone for joining in the live and for watching on the replay. And we'll see you guys next time.
Give us a follows on social, and we'll see you there.
See you next time, guys.